There is a moment that occurs in the sky perhaps once in a generation when 6 planets arrange themselves into a perfect Star of David. There are 3 forming a triangle of fire, 3 forming a triangle of earth, their geometric relationships so precise that the combined gravitational field of the solar system is briefly organized into the oldest sacred symbol known to human civilization. Astrologers call it the Grand Sextile. 6 planets at exactly 60-degree intervals around the zodiac wheel, forming 2 interlocking grand trines simultaneously, the upward triangle and the downward triangle, spirit and matter, locked in perfect balance. What it produces in those born under it is a destiny so tightly woven that the usual range of human variation is compressed almost to zero. The script is written at the level of the orbital mechanics of the solar system itself. This is the nature of 6. Not 5's restless freedom, not the demand that the avatar choose from the heart and commit to a direction. 6 is what happens after that choice has been made correctly. 6 is the number where the simulation first produces something that can be called alive. 1 was the invisible source, 2 was the law of opposites that made difference possible, 3 was the creative force that broke the stalemate, 4 was the structure that gave everything a body in which to live, 5 was the choice, the pentagram, the elevator going up or down, the demand that the avatar reach below the mind to the heart and commit to a direction. 6 is what the simulation builds when that choice has been honored. The 5-pointed star gains a 6th point. The pentagon closes into a hexagon, and for the first time in the simulation's numerical architecture, something grows. Place the human male body inside a circle, arms at the sides, feet together, the upright directed posture of service. The shape that emerges is not the pentagram's open, extended, receptive 5 points. It is the hexagon, 6 reference points, perfectly balanced, every angle the same, every side the same. Where the pentagram is the female body in the posture of welcome, the hexagon is the male body in the posture of service. The hexagon is the most efficient structure in nature. The honeycomb is hexagonal because it stores the maximum honey with the minimum wax. The carbon ring is hexagonal because it allows the maximum bonds with perfect stability. The hexagon is the geometry of doing the most with the least. But extend the hexagon into the 3rd dimension and something remarkable occurs. It does not become a cube. It becomes 2 interlocking tetrahedral, 2 pyramids, 1 pointing up and 1 pointing down. The hexagon in 3 dimensions reverts to the pentagram's teaching, the upward triangle of spirit and the downward triangle of matter, overlapping at their centers, neither containing the other. The Star of David is the hexagon's true nature made flat, spirit fully present in matter, matter fully receptive to spirit, inhabiting the same space without either being diminished. The 6th sign of the zodiac is Virgo, and here the simulation introduces its most important reversal. From Aries through Leo, we watch the development of the masculine ego in its full arc, the spark, the builder, the communicator, the nurturer, the blazing sun. 5 demanded the choice, and the choice made correctly from the heart produced something the masculine arc alone could never have generated. It produced Virgo. Virgo is the first feminine sign of the 2nd half of the zodiac wheel. The spirit, which has been feminine in its deepest nature throughout the entire masculine arc, now emerges to seek its own expression on the surface of matter, and immediately there is a clash. The masculine ego, having spent 6 signs accustoming itself to having its own way, now encounters a force that will not orbit it. The battleground is the mind. Virgo's ruler is Mercury, and the mind that from Aries to Leo was entirely oriented toward conquest and achievement now begins to turn inward. It is to analyze, to edit, and to purify. Virgo introduces the critical faculty, the observer who notices the gap between what is and what could be, who applies to the ego the same standard it has been applying to everything else. The result of this synthesis, Cancer's nurturing tempered with Leo's fire, refined through Mercury's precision, is the teacher. The script for Virgo is sorting, ordering the universe into its correct arrangement, finding the right place for every thought, every object, and every relationship. This capacity for precise ordering is Virgo's great gift and, carried too far, her deepest wound. The obsession with perfect order produces the denial of everything that cannot be ordered, a progressive narrowing of experience as the critical faculty rejects not only what is genuinely imperfect, but everything that does not fit the existing filing system. 6 can become too involved in the lives of those it loves, the sympathy curdling into control, the service becoming management, the care becoming an insistence that the person being served improve themselves according to the server's specifications. The liberation for Virgo is the teaching of the river. Every time you put your foot in the river of life, it is always new. The water that was here a moment ago is not the water that is here now. Only through the acceptance of all stimuli, the imperfect alongside the perfect, the disordered alongside the ordered, will Virgo be free from the compulsion to edit reality into a shape it was never designed to hold. Mercury rules both Gemini and Virgo, the third and the sixth signs. In Gemini, he is the playful communicator, the mind discovering its own agility. In Virgo, he becomes the analyst, the same speed, the same precision, now applied to refinement rather than play. Mercury is considered a neutral planet, neither masculine nor feminine, neither warm nor cold. It takes the quality of whatever it contacts. This neutrality is its power and its danger. The mind's labeling tendency, its compulsive need to name and categorize every experience, allows communication but replaces direct experience with its representation. The label substitutes the map for the territory until the mind believes it is navigating reality when it is in fact navigating its own filing system. Next, the myth of 6 is Isis and Osiris. Osiris was the perfect king, the solar principle in its most complete expression, the fully realized solar hero, the blaze at its most benevolent. Set was his shadow, the desert, the chaos, the darkness. The solar hero's light always casts but never acknowledges. Set killed Osiris and dismembered him into 14 pieces scattered across the breadth of Egypt. This is the Scorpio sting the Leo never saw coming. The solar principle at its most complete is most vulnerable to its own unintegrated darkness. Then Isis began her work. Not a satellite, the feminine principle in its own complete expression. She searched the breadth of Egypt for every fragment and reassembled 13 of the 14 pieces. The 14th, the direct generative power of the masculine, she could not find. So she fashioned a substitute from gold and from her own power, and from the reunion of the masculine principle, however incomplete and transformed, with the feminine that had never stopped searching for it, Horus was conceived. Horus is the new creation, not Osiris restored, Horus born. The consciousness emerges when masculine and feminine work as genuine partners rather than as sun and satellite. In the chemical family, carbon-6 is announced as the savior, the element that will change the Maya. His proton count, neutron count, and electron count are each 6, 666, the sign of the beast in the tradition that feared matter. In chemistry, it is the most perfect number in the periodic table. Carbon forms 4 equal bonds pointing to all 4 corners of 3-dimensional space simultaneously, the tetrahedral structure that allows the maximum complexity with perfect stability. The combination of carbon with oxygen and water produced plant life. The benzene ring, 6 carbon atoms in a perfect hexagon, the electron moving freely around the entire ring, is boron's resonance made complete. The 6th card of the major arcana is the Lovers. It contains 2 figures beneath the angel Raphael, the sun blazing above them, the earth fertile at their feet. But look at the direction of the gazes. The man looks at the woman looks at the angel looks beyond the frame entirely. This is not a love scene. It is a diagram of consciousness, 3 levels of human awareness encoded in 3 directions. The man represents physical desire. The woman represents emotional and intuitive intelligence. The angel is Raphael, the angel of air of communication, signaling that what this card requires is the sacred communication between equals. This is the 6th house teaching, the house of service. The sixth house is where the ego first understands that the solar system it has been building was never meant to be an end in itself. It was meant to be a gift. We have come a long way from the number 1. 1 through 5 built the instrument. 6 is the first moment the instrument is asked to play for someone other than itself. The reversal Virgo introduces is the most important movement in the zodiac wheel because it is the first indication that the outward arc was always preparation for an inward one. The solar hero who blazed at the center of his own solar system, who chose the upward pentagram and walked away from the throne, all of that was the simulation building the scaffold. 6 is the moment the scaffold begins to carry life. The mind sees everything as a continuance. It misses all the spaces in between. Virgo's deepest liberation is the discovery of those spaces, the pauses between the thoughts, the river that is always new, the direct experience of the present moment exactly as it is. Carbon made life possible by being perfectly balanced. Virgo makes wisdom possible by being perfectly honest. 6 is not the end of the simulation's numerical teaching. 7, 8, and 9 each carry their own demands. But 6 is the first number in which the simulation produces something worth calling alive. This is the Star of David as astrological event. The hexagon is the geometry of service, the myth of the goddess who searched the breadth of the world for every fragment of what she loved, and from that reunion conceived a new consciousness that neither principle could have produced alone. We began this episode in the sky, with the Grand Sextile, 6 planets in perfect alignment, the Star of David inscribed in the orbital mechanics of the solar system itself. We ended here, on the ground, where carbon made its home. 6 gave the simulation something none of the previous numbers could give it. 1 gave it source, 2 gave it law, 3 gave it creativity, 4 gave it structure, 5 gave it choice, and 6 gave it life. The scaffold that holds without imposing, the balance that sustains without controlling, the service that offers what was built through 5 stages of development as a gift to something larger than the self that built it. The river is always new. The mind that has learned to stop editing reality long enough to step into the actual water, not the memory of the water, not the idea of the water, not the label it applied to the water the last time it stepped in. Virgo taught the solar hero that the solar system he built was never meant to be an end in itself. Carbon taught the simulation that life requires a scaffold willing to carry what it does not own. Isis taught the myth that the feminine principle will search the entire world for every fragment of what it loves, and from whatever it can reassemble, however incomplete, however transformed, will conceive something new. 6 is complete. Now comes 7. If 6 was the number where the simulation first produced something alive, then 7 is the number where what is alive becomes aware that it is alive. We have barely begun. If this episode gave you something worth keeping, if the Star of David spoke to something in you that already knew what it was before it had the name for it, if the river teaching arrived at the right moment, if Isis searching the breadth of Egypt for every fragment of what she loved felt like something you already understood from the inside, then this series was built for you, like this video. It tells the simulation that the teaching found its audience, and the simulation, being a well-designed system, will offer it to others who are ready for the same conversation. The electric soul continues. The number 7 is waiting.